Welcome back to Real-ationship Goals, a podcast all about exploring the realities and complexities of healthy relationships. Real-ationship Goals is a project of the Prevention and Education team at the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual violence or harassment and is seeking support services or needs more information, links to resources and our hotline number can be found in the description. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of their organizations or affiliates. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to a special summer episode of Real-ationship Goals. We are proud to present a Pride Month panel with folks from the Waco LGBTQ+ community. We're so grateful for our panelists and their willingness to share their opinions and experiences with us. Unfortunately, we experienced a bit of a technical error in our recording, and a significant portion was lost. Thankfully, we were able to salvage some of the wisdom and stories shared in the episode. As always, welcome back to another episode of Real-ationship Goals. We're so glad you're here.
Okay. Hi, my name is Maria.
Hi, my name is B. I use they, them pronouns.
I'm Milo. I use he, him pronouns.
I'm Alexandra. I use she or they pronouns.
And I forgot my pronouns, but they're she, her. So today's episode, we are going to be kind of talking about all things LGBTQ+. And so B and Alex are currently in two organizations in their own capacity that are queer. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to.
Yeah, I'm currently president of Gamma Alpha Epsilon, which has a history of advocating for queer rights on Baylor University's campus, but in the past year or so, we have become less and less affiliated and are now just Waco-wide resources for 18 to 25-year-olds. And we are becoming a branch of Waco Pride Network.
Yeah, we are really excited to start including Gamma in our work. I am on the board of Waco Pride Network. We're an LGBTQ+ resource organization that started in Waco in 2018. We're most known for organizing out on the Brazos every October, but we run programming for people of all ages, from rainbow families up through Golden Gates, which is our resource group and community space for people 55 and up. Every age, truly every age in between.
That is such a great name for that.
Yeah, I'm one of the best movies we've ever come up with.
Yeah, so just kind of going into it, when we talk about like the LGBTQ+ community, so like what does that community look like or like mean to you?
I mean, there's obviously this side of just like the letters, and so if you identify with a queer identity, then you're part of the community. But I think that also has like a culture of its own that is worldwide, and it looks different in every space. I think here in Waco we have a really fun community of people who are so passionate about including everyone possible, allies, people in several different communities, not just the queer community, but there's so much like willingness to help anyone in need, and I think that that's really valuable.
Milo, do you want to talk?
Yeah. I mean, I did not grow up in a area. I'm sure where I grew up had a queer community, but not one that I was able to be a part of or knew anything about. So I didn't actually have a community to be a part of until my adult years, which has been just a wild experience. And so that experience for me can really be summed up as just finding people who are willing to just radically accept you, which is not something that I had experienced before. And also finding some people who are like you, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful description. Yeah, really going past kind of just the alphabet description, I really agree with you. I think something so special about that LGBTQ plus community when we think about community and like community building senses. If you take the word queer as like queering into like change and like move away from a norm, I think there's a really special space in lots of LGBTQ plus communities that of like queering relationships. Like our relationships do not have to only be familial or romantic. Like you can have incredibly close relationships with friends, with other community members who, you know, your medical power of attorney does not have to be your spouse. Like you can have these really special and incredibly deep and very radically accepting relationships. And I think that's something not unique to the LGBTQ plus community, but something that we see a lot of, and that is really special to me.
Yeah, it feels like you almost it feels like when you spot another queer in a place, a queer person, you immediately like, I am connected to that person. And I think that that's what's really amazing about the growth journey for a queer person of finding more and more people that are like you, and you know, barely having to say a word before feeling connected and having a space with another person. And I think that that's really a special part of the community that I don't get from other facets.
For sure. Thank y'all. I hadn't really thought about some of it that way, because even though, you know, as part of the community, you know, I just kind of go like, oh yeah, like cool. But it's really neat, like neat to see like y'all's insight on it as well. And so like kind of going along with that, like what is something you think people should know like specifically about the LGBTQ plus community?
It's just people. It's just people of every age and race and ethnicity and religion. Well, we're like, there's these great things about it. There's nothing that makes every queer community the same. Every person is different. You'll have people you like, people you dislike, people you agree with or disagree with. And so if you are outside of the LGBTQ plus community looking in, it's not a monolith. There's a lot of diversity within it. And I think that's important to remember. You can't make broad sweeping statements about what the LGBTQ plus community is, especially if you're outside of it. It's made up of wonderful, unique people.
I think what I'm always trying to do, I currently go to school at Baylor University, and when I speak to students outside of my specific field, I'm in the social work program. Outside of my field, I'm always begging people to just find a queer person and actually talk to them. Because we see people have all of these different statements that they've grown up with, and I'm always just being like, but talk to them. Like there's no wall. You just need to go find someone, and always being like, come talk to me. I'm here. But yeah, I think it's always worth having a connection with a person before making whole beliefs surrounding them.
I absolutely agree. I think y'all summed that up pretty well. Like when I first came out to my sister, once again, neither of us having access to like a queer community growing up, she didn't know anything about the LGBTQ plus community, and so she was like, I have a lot of questions, but I also I'm worried about hurting your feelings. I was like, honestly, you asking questions lets me know that you're trying, and that's all I want from you right now. So I feel like not being afraid to ask questions. Now, granted, over the years, she has asked me some questions that I'm like, Google exists for some things, but I'm always happy to see when somebody I love comes to me with questions.
I'm of the belief that there are harmful questions, but they need to be asked because there's more harm done in not asking them. But I can understand how other people would have other thoughts.
And big on my personal rule is all questions asked in good faith are fine, even if they're I thought really obvious, something you could Google,
Yes.
sometimes weirdly personal.
Mhm.
If you're asking it with your best intentions, I'm fine with it. I think if you're not part of the LGBTQ plus community, or if you are and you're thinking about things like gender, ask someone if you can ask them questions. Let them maybe set the time or a space, like, Tuesday afternoon in the middle of their workday, maybe not the best time to ask them to explain gender identity, but over coffee might be like, ask if you can ask. It is such a great way to show love that you care enough to know more, and does help kind of break down some of those stereotypes or myths that people might have in their mind about the queer community.
I actually do love it when people are like, hey, check in. I have some questions about like if what I'm doing is harmful. And then I can be like, well, if this is a good time, yeah, some things were harmful and here's what we can do to change it. And then it's a productive time. And I really love the people that feel comfortable enough with me to have those check-ins. And that I feel comfortable enough to have those check-ins with as well, because it definitely builds better relationships.
Yeah, I think Google is definitely like the way to go sometimes. Like I had a cousin who came out to me first as non-binary and then transgendered, and like I had no idea like most of it because my initial community was like so like conservative that did not want to ask him all of these questions. So yeah, Google, if in doubt, and you're not sure if it's gonna be like
Just make
too
sure when you
personal.
Google that you read it from an LGBTQ plus
Yeah.
website.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do responsible Googling. Pretty
Wikipedia, probably not.
decent most of the time, but
Sometimes.
there's a lot of great LGBTQ plus websites that are, built for education. And if you're looking to just understand it, that's a great place to start.
And sometimes they have like people you can talk to about it too.
True. Yeah.
And so
Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Real-ationship Goals. We're hoping to release a couple more special summer episodes for you, but in the meantime, if you're hoping for more content, be sure to follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention or on Instagram and Facebook at Advocacy Waco. If you'd like more resources for the LGBTQ plus community in Waco, be sure to check out wacopridenetwork.org and find them on Instagram and Facebook. See you next time. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in to Real-ationship Goals. This episode was produced by the Prevention and Education Department of the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. Interested in more content from PNE or the Advocacy Center? You can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention or on Instagram and Facebook at Advocacy Waco. Be sure to like this episode and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Bye.